It's not the women who are the only ones to play friendlies this week. Big ones that begin in Rotterdam for the men's national team under Jesse Marsh. It will be, of course, his first time on the touchline for the Canadian men's national team. His coaching staff has been announced. We know that France will happen just a few days later, but Copa America has to be the thing that everyone is thinking about. They're going to get some great tests here. Let's start there. What do you think a result against the Dutch, and however you want to define it, Gareth, could mean as we get closer to Copa?
First of all, it's the 80th anniversary of D-Day, something that should be acknowledged and will be a really meaningful and purposeful just element of that entire day. Just remember what our troops did for us in order to allow us to celebrate these freedoms that we do here today. As for Jesse Marsh in Canada, I honestly don't know what to expect. And I'm more looking towards what this team's going to look like at the 2026 World Cup than I am over the first 2 or 3 games under Jesse Marsh. First off, there's things out of his control. This group of players has only played 4 times since last July. That's nowhere near enough. Their competition in the Netherlands and France for these 2 upcoming games have played double that over that same period of time and played big qualifying games against big teams. These are big asks for Canada. Like, these aren't B or C teams for Netherlands and France who have been put together. These are the teams that are going to be competing at Euro in just a few weeks' time. So it's going to be exceptionally difficult. All eyes are on a couple things, Adam. I think it's selection at the back, what that looks like. They have a lot of inexperience across that back line. Defougerol, good young player. Bombito, good young player. Bombito only played for Canada in the midfield under John Herdman. One of those players are likely to play on the right side of center back. We're not sure what that looks like. That to me screams, are you ready for Xavi Simons and Cody Gakpo and Kylian Mbappe? Like, it's just being thrown to the wolves early. I want to see what type of formation and style of play Marsh employs in order to protect some of your weaknesses. It's one thing playing to your strengths, and clearly that is your front 4 or 5 are all players who are at a very high level internationally, and you can really rely upon these players. And there's depth in those areas as well, but it's what things are going to look like at the back, because if you're pinned back, if you're playing counterattacking football, in one way it does suit Canada. If you want to play that Marsh high pressure, what does that look like? Are you leaving that back line exposed? It's just there's a number of elements that need to be answered. And based upon the fact that they haven't played very much football together at all, I think there's some significant question marks what we're going to see this week. I'm excited to see it no matter what, no matter what it is. I don't mean that in a doom and gloom. It's just I don't think a lot of us have a good read on what we'll actually see this week.
Oliver Platt, let's go to you next.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect either. Like, I think this first game against the Netherlands, as much as it's a friendly against a much stronger opponent, I do think it's an important one, because like, you get smashed here and then you go and play the 2 World Cup finalists in your next 2 games. Like, that's not a 3-game start that you want for any new manager, even putting it in context of no one expects Canada to win these games. So look, this is the one they've had more preparation time for. I think a Thursday, Sunday turnaround to France is going to be really, really difficult. So let's see what Jesse Marsh has come up with and how he approaches this game, how front foot he wants to be, what kind of players he's potentially willing to throw in with not a ton of international experience, and how they fare against a really strong Netherlands team, as we know, a perennial powerhouse in international football. So it's 2 of the most interesting games I think this team has played in a long time. I'm really interested to see how it goes, but they're massive challenges.
And Jordo too, and also, as always, I like to lean on your experience playing. There's a lot of guys in this team, and an increasingly large number of players who are European-based and have gone up against some absolutely elite, talented players. But there's also a lot of players in this team who are either new to international football or are going to be up against some of the best opponents they've ever defended or attacked against. What do you think's going through the minds of these guys? They're probably excited, but also probably a fair bit stressed and nervous too, to put on a good showing.
Yeah, I feel like they'll probably use that, right? Use that to their advantage, as they should. I mean, that's what any coach or player or ex-player would say, right? Is really control the things that you can. I'm curious to look at probably 15 minutes onward. So after the first 15 minutes is done in this match, like, what type of Canada are we seeing? Are they just going to concede and say we're not going to have the ball? Are we going to try to make things difficult for the Netherlands and press in certain areas? Like, Jesse Marsh is going to come in. Everyone knows he's going to be organized, but how does that translate from the sideline, from all that training, to the pitch? And I think this is a great test. This is so different from any CONCACAF nation that you'd play. This team could hurt you and burn you if you're not organized and not in their face. But I just wonder what type of 1-2 punch Marsh has this team gearing up for, what they're equipped for. You can't press all the time. I also think it's silly to sit back the whole time as well and absorb too much, because then you're just basically asking a team that can burn you to play in your backyard. So that balance, I just want to see, and I'm curious to see. But as I said, Canada, they have quality players. It's just, how do you put that all together? And this is going to be a longer process, but I think the start is crucial for Marsh.
Just to be realistic about what we'll see, the MLS players, and that's why maybe a few were left out of this squad, came in late. Like, the team got to get the European-based players, were on the field on Sunday. Really, it's going to be Monday, and players just stretching out their legs. Those players that have just come from North America to join camp. So really, match day -1 is match day -1. You're going to have Tuesday to really get on the field and get your hands dirty in terms of how this team is going to play. So preparation wise, it's everything is so condensed as well. So we'll see. I think the excitement is just the first look at this group together. We love watching this team play. We love watching these players play and see Jesse Marsh and what his influence and what his demeanor is like. So I think it's more about that. If they could come away with some kind of result, keep it really within question until the end, that for me is an added bonus, and one that would be a pleasant surprise.
We're going to temporarily pause this conversation before we get to our final segment of the show, where we'll pick it back up. But I actually just wanted to mention, since Gareth brought it up, yes, of course, the 80th anniversary, June the 6th of D-Day. There's a really good podcast out right now by Dan Snow. He does History Hit. If you're a history buff like me, it's a minute-by-minute reenactment or timeline of the events. And as we think about those veterans and their families and the sacrifices this week, if you're into such a thing, I would highly suggest you check out that podcast. Okay, let's get to our Tony Bet topics. In this international window, nations are fine-tuning before European Championships and, of course, Copa America. We just talked about Canada and the Netherlands. Oliver Platt, this is the line. Canada plus 700, the Dutch minus 264, or a draw at plus 320.
God knows. I would... I would look at Canada here at that kind of price. I'm not saying take them outright to win, but maybe on the handicap or the goal line. I think Canada has the players to potentially make some noise in this game. I don't see them winning outright, but I'd probably go along those lines, I think, given they are such big outsiders.
Jordan Wilson.
Ooh. I feel like I'm not really patriotic if I say the Netherlands, but I mean, that's
plus 700.
That's where I'm going with this one.
Please rescue your two colleagues who are the most unconvicted betting prop and analysts in the world. They're like, oh God, no, I don't know. Give us the answer.
I didn't say that.
No.
Me. Oh, yes. I'm taking the safest bet for me is both teams to score in the over here. Like Ollie said, okay. Canada is still a difficult team to play against. That's where you get the most juice on this game. Both teams to score and the over 2.5.
Gareth, right back to you. This one's interesting to me. Denmark minus 106, Sweden plus 280 in European friendlies.
Well, Denmark's building towards what will be an important European competition here. I think it's Denmark on the money line in this game. I don't love betting results in friendlies like this. I much prefer to bet the total. Sweden really are building towards nothing here, so let's go with Denmark.
Ollie, Portugal minus 164, Croatia plus 380.
Give me Croatia on this one. But the friendlies is tough to predict, so Croatia are a good enough side that plus 380 intrigues me.
I know better than to ask Ollie to bet on England, so I'm going to ask Jordan instead. Heavy favorites minus 910. Iceland, wait for it, plus 1,600 on the Icelanders.
England's winning like 4-0 this one for sure. They're just racking up goals before they're
Jordan Wilson
that they could go and win.
Jordan says take the over. I say goodbye, everyone. That's all the time we have for today on One Soccer Today. New episode of Match Night available on YouTube with David Edgar and Canada, Mexico tomorrow at BMO. Talk to you.